If you love the effects of brush styling your naturally curly hair, but you just cannot be bothered with having to brush curl by curl, then you'll definitely want to stay tuned for this routine, which is going to be a fast brush styling technique. If you are new to my channel, welcome. My name is Gina and I make videos all about naturally curly hair. I love doing simplified step-by-step tutorials and helping you problem solve with your curls. So let's go ahead and dive into this simple brush styling routine. So I'm starting off with clean hair that has started to dry, so I am going to wet it back down. So I'm using a spray bottle, some clips, a brush. I prefer the Tangle Teaser because it doesn't cause as much breakage, a comb, and your products. I'm going to be using the AG Recoil and the Jessie Curl Gel, which I'm testing out for the first time in this video. So I'm wetting my hair back down. As I mentioned, it is clean, but it did start to air dry as I was getting ready, and you can see how frizzy and undefined my curls are when they don't have any product. That's a good before and after. So I'm just gonna wet it down completely. You want your hair to be very wet when you apply your styling products. I like for my roots just to be kind of towel dried though, but the lengths of my hair to be evenly wet. So I'm just completely wetting my hair down. Now I'm going in with the AG Recoil. This is the old packaging, by the way. A little goes a long way with this curl cream, as you can see, so you definitely want to just use a small amount and emulsify it with your hands. The more cream you use, the less hold that your gel is going to have, so just keep that in mind when using this curl cream. So I'm just evenly applying this all over. We will go quickly through the product application because the key of this video is definitely the brush styling. I am going to use my Tangle Teaser brush to brush this through. This is one reason I love this hairbrush because you can use it to distribute product, to brush style, and also to detangle. It's really great at being multi-purpose. Then I'm just running my hands through my hair. I always do this after I brush my hair out like that. And then we're going to section off the hair. Now, typically I would do smaller sections, but I want to make sure that this is a fast routine. So I'm doing larger sections than I would normally do because we don't want to spend a lot of time sectioning and doing a ton of precise styling. Also, it helps to make sure that you have a straight line in your sections just so you don't accidentally grab hair from other sections when you're brush styling. Now I'm going in with the Jessie Curl Spiralicious Gel. I've been wanting to try out this gel for a while because it's one of the few gels that doesn't contain glycerin, and I know a lot of people do like to avoid that in humidity or sometimes even in the winter, so I wanted to see how this does. I've also heard it's strong hold, so we're testing it out for the first time, and I'm just applying this all over. I like to apply my gel before I brush style because I get better coverage, more definition, and just overall better results for my very frizzy hair. But if you're wanting more volume and not such a like PC defined look, then you can always scrunch in your gel after you brush style and you'll get less coverage, so therefore less hold. So I'm just dividing the hair in about 3 sections. You want it to be about the width of your brush, and I'm doing really large sections with this because this is what makes it faster. You can pick up an entire section of hair and then brush it, and then we're going to comb through it so it's not all stuck together. I recommend brushing the hair upwards at the root. That's what's going to give you a lot of volume. We don't want to be brushing our hair down, so you can place the brush underneath the section of hair and then apply some tension. You can even hold your hand against it and pull the hair down the strand. You can see how it gets nice and flat. That's what creates those curl clumps. Then I'm taking my wide tooth comb and then brushing through them, and then we're gonna scrunch. You might be thinking you're just ruining the curl clumps that you just created, but I like to have a little bit more volume, so I don't want my hair to be super clumped, or else it'll look like I have 3 curls on my head because my hair is pretty thin. So you don't have to comb through them if you like the chunkier curl clumps, but when you're doing an entire section at once, you're probably gonna have to break some of those up. I will link you to Sophie Marie Curly down below. You have to check out her videos because she is the master at this brush styling technique with using a comb afterwards. I first heard about it from her, so check out her channel and her Instagram. I'll have them linked down below. You might also notice that some of your curls might not curl up perfectly because if you're brushing an entire section at once, if your curls are like mine where they go in different directions, some of them might not curl up so great because you're doing them all in the same direction, whereas if you did smaller sections, you could make sure that you're going in the right direction of that individual curl, but that's okay. I'm not expecting it to be perfect for this. Just that smoothing action with the brush is really going to help to tame frizz and give definition, even if I'm not technically going in the right direction. You can even kind of shake it out like I just did. That helps to clump the curls and help encourage them to go in their proper direction, even if you didn't brush it in the right direction. Then I'm just checking the back and I'm going through it with the wide tooth comb because I've really been struggling with my hair looking very sparse. And so I want to make sure that that back section is nice and covered. So I wanted to separate the clumps even more, and that just helps it not look so stringy on the ends. Plus I'm due for a haircut. Moving on to the top sections, I'm just splitting this in half so we can keep this pretty quick. We only have 2 sections left to do. You do want to spritz down your hair if it's starting to dry. Mine dries super fast, so you want to make sure you have that spray bottle handy. Then I'm just going in with my gel. So I was about to brush this entire section, but I could see how the side pieces at the root were going to be going in kind of a weird direction. So I did feel like I needed to pull those out and brush those separately. I just pulled out those side pieces there because it was a little bit too wide for the brush too. And I didn't want the roots to kind of be tangled right there on the side. So I'm just pulling out the corners, and then I'm going to move on with brushing the crown area straight up and back. So I'm just leaning down so you can see better, but you want to apply that tension. That's what's going to give you the curl definition. This is also really going to help with root covering. So if you do struggle with any cowlicks in this area, if your scalp is showing, this is really going to help with that. And it gives you really nice root lift and volume right at the crown area, which tends to get pretty flat. So then you can see I'm just doing those side pieces. I could tell they just weren't going to curl right if I did it all in one section. And then I'm just going through that entire section with the wide tooth comb because I definitely want to keep this a little bit more separated to better cover my scalp in this area. So now I'm just clipping that away so I don't accidentally pick up hair that's already been brushed, and then I'm just spritzing the front section with water. So my front section I feel like needs a little bit more attention because I have a tighter curl pattern up here and the curls go in all different directions. I have grays, I have baby hair, so I do a little bit more precise brush styling in this area. I like to brush my hair up and then I can see where the part naturally wants to fall. I try and keep the part pretty small. I have a whole video all about hair parting that I can link for you down below if that's helpful, if you're struggling with getting that volume at the crown and you want to make sure you're parting properly to keep your hair out of your face. You can check that out. So after I get the gel fully distributed, even all the way up to the root, I like to brush the hair at the root up. This is really going to give me that root lift, and then I'm just applying some tension to the entire section to help define those curls, and then I'm shaking it out so they can kind of group together. And then I'm just picking up any curls that I can really tell did not curl in the right direction, and for me that's the very front curl. It's a much tighter curl, and so I just didn't like being grouped with the rest. You might notice that with some of your curls. If they really look wonky, then you probably need to brush them individually. I do really like this method if you have grays because it kind of just groups those grays into an entire curl clump so they're not just sticking out all over the place. Then I'm combing through to make sure everything is nice and separated. It might seem kind of weird combing through those clumps that you just created, but it will still curl up. Even if you've combed through, by the time you go and scrunch your curls, you'll still see those ringlets form because of that tension from the brush, but then they're not going to be as clumped together. Now finishing off with the final section, I like to put my brush underneath for this section and just watch the root lift that I get. It's really crazy. And this section for me also curls towards my face, which is why I brush it underneath, but you can experiment with going on top or underneath. Look at that root lift just from doing that entire section at once. Now, if you do see that some of your curls did not curl right, you might have to just brush those individually. Like for me, that was this curl. It wanted to go in the other direction. And I'm just kind of separating with my fingers and doing a little bit of finger coiling on some of these problem areas, but you could totally just leave it too. If you're short on time, just comb the entire section up. Once you're done with all the sections, you might want to check the back, just make sure you don't have any of the sections showing if you do have low density hair like me. I was really struggling with this one side. I just kept seeing the lines from the section, so I was just taking my brush and gently going over them and kind of picking it out a little bit, and that helps to kind of break up those harsh lines from the sections. Then I'm just taking my hair towel and I'm picking up the section of the towel that is wet and then scrunching my hair. This doesn't cause quite as much frizz if you pick up the wet section because it can't absorb as much product if it's already wet. So this helps to prevent frizz, and this helps speed up the drying process because you're squeezing out the excess water. I do still go in with an extra light layer of gel sometimes if I see any frizz or if I just want to make sure that I'm getting really strong hold. And a lot of times I will mix the gel with some water and just scrunch over the hair. Now I'm ready to diffuse. I just like to check and make sure that everything is nice and separated in the back. Everything looks good before I start diffusing. And I'm using my Curlsmith diffusion hair dryer, which has a super large diffuser, so I can dry my hair in about 10 minutes with this. Once I'm finished drying my hair, I like to take these root clips from Curl Keeper. I can link these down below along with all of the products that I used in this routine and the brush. I like to put these in just at the end of my diffusing routine, let my hair finish air drying and setting and cooling off, and then I take them out and I have so much root lift, and then I just like to fluff it out, scrunch out any gel casts with dry hands. Make sure your hands are dry so you don't cause any frizz when you go and break the gel cast. Make sure your hair is also fully dry too when you do this. These are my final results once my hair was fully dry. I loved my results with this gel, and I did record how it was on day 2 because that's really how you can tell if a gel actually works well or not. It is now day 2, and I wanted to check in to show you all my results after using that Jessie Curl gel. I really think it looks good. This is much better than what I've been dealing with the last couple of weeks where my hair is just not lasting much past day 1. I'm really impressed with these results. A few pieces are kind of sticking out a little bit. They were probably just in my bonnet funny, and I have a few rogue gray sticking up there, but no big deal. The curls are still intact. And I also think brush styling made the biggest impact here because I haven't really been brush styling much at all, and my curls have been feeling so stringy. So it's so nice that they're not stringy right through here. And in terms of underneath, they're still falling a little bit limp, I think just because I need a haircut, and I'll just diffuse those. So I'm just gonna do a really light refresh to save time and just make it last a lot longer throughout the week. But overall, I mean, I could totally go out like this. I think it's totally fine. So it does save a lot of time to do brush styling because the curls last. Like, my curls have not been lasting like this when I haven't been brush styling, so it definitely makes a big difference. So really happy with these results from this gel. I don't have a cast or anything in my hair, and it's just a tad frizzy. Like, I can try and show you up closer. You can always see the frizz better if you look closely, but not too bad. I don't mind a little bit of frizz as long as the curls still look intact, and they do. So really impressed with this. Let me know down below if you plan to try out this brush styling technique, and be sure to tag me on Instagram if you do so I can see your results. And if you're interested in getting any of the products that I use, I will have everything linked in the description box down below. And I also recommend checking out a recent video that I posted for a quick wash day routine. I will have it linked right here on the screen. It will show you start to finish from shampooing all the way to styling with gel and everything in a fast method. So you can go from washing to styling as quick as possible. So I hope you enjoyed that video, and I will talk to you over there. Bye everyone.